Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. Normally I do a video on Saturday and not one on Sunday, but yesterday I ran out of gas and I decided that I would just do my video for today, do it on Sunday instead. So here you go. I'm gonna start by letting you know, looks like Masterworks, one of my sponsors, they're showing you that in the midst of this economy and all these different assets going down in value, look at the art auctions are apparently having records. So, and that's what Masterworks does. They go to these auctions and they buy a painting and then they turn it into $20 shares and with a minimum investment of $500, and people can, like you and me, can go and buy them. So that's why I've been buying $500 at a time of artwork. It's kind of like a little hedge that I'm doing now, and I've never been able to do that before. I'll put a link to this in the very top of the description of this video. Now, let's talk about something interesting. We saw some of the, I think it was Brad Combs from Digital Perspectives, and it was just kind of a theory that he had, and it's not something written in stone. But his theory basically was, or a question he's asking is, what if Jed McCaleb's wallet, when it ran out, what if that wallet was what was feeding XRP onto all the retail exchanges, and that now that he's out, that XRP will begin to run out. Okay, that's the concept. So there's some guys that apparently heard that. This guy, and look, I don't know if this is true. I don't know if that theory holds any water. I just think it's interesting to talk about. And the reason I think it's interesting is that Ripple has always made no bones about the fact that what they were doing was for institutions. And if XRP is really going to be used worldwide and replace Nostro Vostro accounts, why would they want retail holders to hold it? In other words, and this is where it gets interesting, what if that theory was right? Or even if it wasn't Jed McCaleb's wallet, what if the theory is right that at some point the retail can't get XRP anymore? Because I've kind of always believed this. I believe I believe that those of us that are here now, there will be a day when people will talk to you and they'll say, are you telling me you were one of those people that got XRP back when it was available? I think that it's that. Now, that doesn't mean that you won't be able to get tokens that are built on the XRP ledger, or maybe drops. But anyway, so these guys have come out and they're looking at the Uphold and the BitTrue wallet and basically saying, like in this case, Uphold and BitTrue, 1.6 million XRP left. Now, again, this could all just be a theory that's wrong, but it's still a fascinating theory because to me, I've always felt like we were for the purpose of testing this for the last 10 years, okay? And that at some point, it'll only be available to institutions, and you and I maybe get grandfathered in. Okay, but who knows? We shall see. I'm sure we're going to find out. Now, I wanted to give two reminders. First reminder, not one single Bitcoin maxi or person in Congress has called for an investigation of who the 4 Satoshis are so that we can have honesty, integrity, and transparency in our financial system. Not one. And this is from the Homeland Security video where the agent said that they met with the 4 Satoshis. And also another reminder, not one single person in Congress has called for an investigation of ETHgate, SEC conflicts of interest, or disguised whales from the Ethereum ICO so that we can have honesty, integrity, and transparency in our financial system. Not one. Okay? Then there's this. Check this out from Wheezy, because, there's two guys that we've never really focused on what they may have known, but we know they're Bitcoin, Ethereum maxis too, and that is the Winklevoss brothers. These are the same guys that never listed XRP on their exchange.
I think that what people are conflating recently is the ICOs, which are basically, they're all securities dressed up with cryptocurrency or a token. But it's, you know, it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, like it is a duck, you know, like this is a very small subset of the underlying cryptocurrency layer one blockchains like Bitcoin, like Ether, which are Bitcoin, according to the CFTC, is a commodity, and it's been that ruling in that way since September of 2015. So U.S. regulators, at least, have been very comfortable with the legal distinction of what cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ether are. I think there's no doubt that ICOs are definitely a distraction right now, and they distract from sort of the layer one protocol tokens like Bitcoin and Ethereum that are definitely commodities. They're not securities or companies just raising capital and dressing it up with a token. We have a portfolio of cryptocurrencies. We invest in Bitcoin, we invested in ETH.
Why don't the Winklevoss brothers want to know who the disguised whales are? Why don't they want to know who the 4 Satoshis are? You better believe they've seen the video we showed of Homeland Security and the disguised whales video. Why don't they want to know? This is a real question. Now, this is an interesting one. Look at this. This guy's a professor at Georgetown Law School. Something no one is talking about. After the merge, there will be a strong case that Ethereum will be a security. The token in any proof of stake system is likely to be a security. That's what have I been saying? This is a security issuance in progress that the SEC is ignoring. Now, something I want to point out, because now all of crypto knows Gary Gensler is coming for all of it. Stop and reflect on who is benefiting the most from Gary Gensler slowing down crypto in the United States. It's 3 people, or three groups: Wall Street, China, and Russia. And if you think they don't have anything to do with anything, well, and I say these are the investors that he's really protecting. Now look, this is an article. Russia and China officially announced they're taking on the dollar with a new global reserve currency. Okay, so this is what they're doing while Gary Gensler holds Ripple hostage, XRP hostage, and all of crypto hostage. So yes, Gary Gensler is benefiting Russia, China, and Wall Street. Okay, that's who he is helping. Now, I had a very specific question for these attorneys. Since the SEC is going after insider traders, okay, who were at Coinbase, my question is this. For you attorneys, if anyone on this list bought Ethereum, these are the people that were communicating with Bill Hinman behind the scenes on the lead up to the speech. If anyone on this list bought Ethereum with inside regulatory information provided to them by the SEC, does that make both them and the SEC guilty of insider trading, or does the SEC have immunity, similar to Congress allowing themselves to insider trade? He says there are no insider trading laws in play because there are no insiders per se, but the prosecution would be for mail fraud, which is a fraud or deceit for personal financial gain. So everybody on this list, if they bought Ethereum with knowledge that the public did not have, he is showing you what crime they could be charged with. That is pretty amazing. Now, this is from the Rich Dad, Poor Dad guy. What's his name? Guy Kawasaki. U.S. bond market crashes. Biggest bond crash since 1788. China's RE bond market crashing. Over 90 million in empty condos in China. Bond market's bigger than the stock market. I'm buying more gold, silver now, and waiting for Bitcoin to go lower. I'm waiting for, I will even buy some Bitcoin if it gets down a lot lower, but not where it's at now. Now, John Deaton was on, what's this guy's name? He was on the Charles Payne. Is that right? Anyway, he was on his show. You need to see this. Watch this, part 1 from Cowboy Crypto.
I got to tell you, more recently, it's felt sort of like that old HBO series Deadwood. I want to bring in crypto law founder John Deaton. John, I got to start with the news. Apparently, an ex-Coinbase product manager has been charged with what they're saying is the first of its kind crypto insider trading case. What's this all about?
Well, you called it right, Charles. Thank you for having me on. The former product manager of Coinbase basically was on what's called the asset listing team. And that's basically, they get to pick which crypto assets are going to be listed on Coinbase. Now, most importantly, he had information of when the public announcement of that listing would be made. And there's this phenomenon, Charles, called the Coinbase pump. Basically, as you can imagine, when a new coin gets listed on the largest exchange in the United States, there's a pump. And he was providing this information and tipping his brother and his friend as to when these acknowledgments were going to be made, and they engaged in that trading.
Any chance he could use the Nancy Pelosi defense?
Well, when Congress exempts themselves from insider trading, I mean, that's a pretty powerful exemption.
Yeah. Hey, I want to stick with this Wild West theme because Congressman Tom Emmer said this week that the SEC is still actively pursuing cryptocurrency entities, and doing so, they're going beyond their authority, right? He says that Gary Gensler and the director of enforcement sent a sweep letter or sweep letters to jam them into a violation that is presumably prohibited. I mean, what is the deal with the SEC in this urge to just dominate this space?
Well, I got to tell you, I believe Congressman Emmer is on to something. He wouldn't have just made that up. When you couple what he was saying with the fact that Gary Gensler has doubled the enforcement division for crypto-related assets, it makes sense. But what they're doing, apparently, Charles, is they send these voluntary industry sweep letters, which is voluntary, to ask for information. And what Congressman Emmer brought out was that the SEC engages in what's called extra-jurisdictional requests. They don't have any business sending voluntary requests to these companies, and they're voluntary. If I'm on the attorney for one of these companies,
all right, and then here's part two.
Requests to these companies, and they're voluntary. If I'm on the attorney for one of these companies, I say don't cooperate because they don't have jurisdiction, and they're not supposed to hold it against you, but they do. Yeah. And the direct enforcement said something dangerous. He said, quote, "We are not limited to our jurisdiction when it comes to subpoenas."
The bottom line is it sounds like pure intimidation, plain and simple. Let me ask you about your legal battle on behalf of holders of XRP. How's that going?
Well, talk about the Wild Wild West, Charles. I can't talk about the underlying issues, but the SEC has asked the judge to throw me off the case and to revoke amicus status to my clients. They're doing that on the eve of summary judgment motions being filed next month, which is the most important part of the case, as you can imagine. So that's where we're at now.
Last time we spoke, you had like 68,000 in this class action suit. What's the number now?
68,875. Actually, 885, and it grows each day, Charles. It's the first time in history that almost 70,000 retail holders of an asset from over 90 countries around the world have come together to fight this government overreach.
John, I got to let you go, but in general, crypto's had a rough patch here recently, but so has every asset out there. I actually have been more impressed with Bitcoin and some of these others now, coming through this, than I was even before this. I mean, is this something we can take positives, we can take away from the way things have been handled?
Absolutely, Charles. It's called growing pains, as you know, but think about Celsius, BlockFi, 3AC, Vald, CoinFlex, all these companies going bankrupt on these high leveraged, strategies they're engaging in. And there were a lot of predictions that Bitcoin would go sub 10,000. It hasn't, doesn't mean it won't, but it's holding up pretty well. I think it's, in the long term, it's great news for the asset class. I
got to tell you, John, good luck to you. I'm not sure what's this all about, trying to kick you off the case. Maybe you should.
Interesting clip. John Deaton is this guy has gotten better and better and better in the media. I mean, he looks like he was born to do it. You know what's going to happen? You remember when during the OJ case, when Greta Van Susteren and they had another attorney, they were like commentators when the OJ Simpson thing was going on. This is how old I am. And then after that case was over, they ended up getting shows on was it CNN and then eventually Fox for Greta. So I wouldn't be a bit surprised if John Deaton does not get hired by someone like a Fox News after this case is over, because he might be the most famous attorney in the United States. Now, I wanted to point this out because John Deaton was kind of covering this. I want you to understand what the SEC is doing. They're going after these people for insider trading, these individuals, and in the same case, they're calling specifically non-digital assets securities. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to, and the way I understand the way I've read this, what they're trying to do is they're naming those individual digital asset securities because they know that these individuals will probably fold and not try to fight them and probably settle, and then they'll have a court case that sets a precedent with those non-digital assets as securities, and only because nobody had the gunpowder or the wherewithal or the will to fight them. And so that's what the SEC is up to in this thing. David Schwartz is shocked, literally shocked, that Jake Chervinsky is all of a sudden seeming to be interested in fighting back against the SEC. Senator Pat Toomey commented on it too. Yesterday's enforcement action is a perfect example of the SEC having a clear opinion on how and why certain tokens classify as securities. Yet the SEC failed to disclose their view before launching an enforcement action. Let me be clear, any violation of law should certainly be prosecuted, but the SEC's regulation by enforcement approach to digital assets poses a serious challenge for any well-meaning innovator who's striving to comply with existing laws and regulations. Providing regulatory clarity prior to enforcement would benefit regulators and investors alike. So all this time, the SEC has had an opinion on some of these tokens that are specific securities, but they won't tell the public that they claim they're trying to protect. Think about this. It's crazy. These people have no business being in their positions. Coinbase is finally ready to fight the SEC. All these guys are jumping on board now. And I wanted to finish with this. Happening now, Treasury and the White House decide on negotiated stablecoin bill with congressional leaders. I wanted to read you this section right where I had it highlighted. Let me see if I've got it up here. According to my source, participating in the negotiations were Financial Services Committee Chair Maxine Waters, Ranking Member Patrick McHenry, and high-ranking Treasury official who reports directly to Secretary Yellen, looking to seal a deal for a bipartisan bill focused on stablecoin regulations that could pass Congress and get to Biden's desk to become law. This means that there could be a bill as early as next week that is essentially coming from the president's desks if the White House buys into the compromise, making this legislation vastly different than other bills the cryptocurrency industry has seen before. There's some reason, folks, that they want stablecoin legislation as soon as possible, and it has to happen quick. Okay? This right here, have you noticed? You know what else I find interesting is that these people never are able to work together, but all of a sudden on stablecoin regulations, they can get together in no time flat and get it done. It's there. Almost like all the world's a stage. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that all the world very well could be a stage, and we could all be players in the game. Who knows?